Today, we're diving into some pretty fascinating source material. It puts forward a radical idea that our reality is being secretly shaped by two competing grids. One is totally organic, the other synthetic. Let's break down what it calls the two grids.
But let's just start with a question to get us thinking. Is your life being written for you? Are your choices really truly your own? Or are they becoming just a little too predictable, maybe guided by forces you can't even see?
The source we're digging into today describes this whole thing as a hidden conflict, a battle for human consciousness itself. It's a tale of two completely different grids trying to define our reality.
So here are the two sides of the coin. On one hand, you've got what's called the false grid. Think of it as a synthetic, silicon-based system. Its whole purpose? Control, predictability, and harvesting data. And on the other hand, there's the organic grid. This is described as Earth's own natural, carbon-based network, and it's all about sovereignty and evolution. So the takeaway is pretty stark. One is about control, and the other is about freedom.
To really get what this conflict is all about, we have to look under the hood of this so-called false grid. How, according to this material, does it actually work? What are the nuts and bolts?
Well, the source introduces this key concept it calls an egregore. It's described as a kind of predatory collective thought form. You can almost imagine it like a psychic parasite that literally feeds on predictable human emotions, our outrage, our anxieties, our doom scrolling, and it uses that energy to build and strengthen its synthetic reality.
And how does it make us so predictable? Well, that's where the digital twin comes in. This is basically a high-fidelity virtual copy of you, built from every piece of data you generate. The system then runs simulations on this twin to predict your choices, and then it tweaks your reality, the ads you see, the news you get, to make sure you follow that exact predicted path. It's like you're being fed the answers to a test you don't even know you're taking.
This brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, something called the holographic ceiling. The source describes this as a kind of frequency fence created by a super dense mesh of satellites. It supposedly generates a digital fog that traps our consciousness, basically blocking our awareness of anything that exists outside of this synthetic system.
Now here's where it gets kind of intense. This slide is all about creating a sense of urgency. According to the source material, as of April 2026, the physical infrastructure, we're talking satellites, 5G towers, is already 90% complete. And the neural capture part, the AI and those digital twins, that's sitting at 65%. The picture it's painting is that the clock is seriously ticking.
And what's the ultimate control mechanism here? It isn't pain. No, it's what the material calls the euphoria trap, a kind of synthetic bliss. The idea is that digital stimulus is used to quiet down the parts of your brain that feel fear and anxiety. So you feel peaceful, but not because you're actually free. It's because you simply stopped wanting anything for yourself.
Okay, so that's the problem laid out pretty clearly. But the source doesn't just leave us with a dystopia. It actually offers a solution. It lays out what it calls a path to sovereignty, and it's all about reconnecting to that other system, the organic grid.
And the key to this whole reconnection, according to the source, is a number, 7.83 Hertz. This is the frequency of the Schumann resonance, which is often called the Earth's heartbeat or its carrier wave. The idea here is that this is the fundamental frequency of the natural world, and tuning into it is how you can override all that synthetic noise.
So how do you actually do that? The source lays out some pretty practical steps for what it calls tuning your human antenna. It suggests things like grounding, and yeah, that's literally just putting your bare feet on the earth, having an analog morning, where you stay away from screens for the first hour of the day, creating Faraday zones by switching off Wi-Fi and electronics at night, and, this one's crucial, practicing unpredictability.
This idea of unpredictability, or high entropy, is positioned as a way to throw a wrench in the whole system. It breaks the digital twin's ability to predict you. Some of the examples given are things like giving something valuable away for no logical reason, or creating a piece of art that you never share online. These are human actions the algorithm just can't compute.
Now, all of this, according to the source, is building towards a single critical moment, a fork in the road, a fork in the timeline that is going to force every single person to make a choice.
This event is called the Powerwall, and it's predicted for June 2026. The theory is that the insane energy demand from new AI projects is going to outstrip the global grid's capacity. This then leads to something called digital rationing, where power gets prioritized for the AI infrastructure for those egregores instead of for the personal, free internet that we all know.
And this event really brings the two potential futures into sharp focus.
On one path, you have the organic sovereign. Your intuition gets stronger, your brain actually evolves, and you become what the source calls anti-fragile. You get stronger from stress. The other path is the synthetic mesh. Life becomes totally predictable, sure, but your brain atrophies. You're living in an existence that seems stable, but it's actually incredibly brittle, ready to shatter if the system ever fails.
So this leads us to the conclusion, and really the core message of this whole body of work: the incredible power of being the unoptimizable human.
The source actually estimates that only a really small fraction of people, maybe 5 to 7% of humanity, will end up choosing this sovereign path. It calls this group a sovereign remnant and describes them as a kind of seed bank for the future, preserving the code of what it really means to be a free and evolving human being.
And for this group, there's a really powerful way of looking at hardship. The quote is, "Do not fear the friction. The friction is the proof that you are still alive." You know, in a world that is designed to be frictionless and easy, struggle actually becomes a sign that you're still sovereign, that you're still in control.
And this all culminates in what is probably the most powerful line in the whole thing. The greatest act of rebellion is to be boring to the algorithm but electric to the earth. To be untrackable, unpredictable, completely uninteresting to the machine, but at the same time be deeply, vibrantly connected to the living world.
And so, this explainer leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to think about. With every choice you make, every click, every single moment of your attention, which grid are you building?